She got lost in a tiny European town. He was just a stranger who offered to walk her back to the main square. But one simple stroll turned into a day that changed everything. Laughter echoing through narrow streets, trembling almost touches, and sunset-lit glances that made them no longer strangers. The next morning, they choose each other again, between coffee, old alleyways, and a first almost kiss hanging between them like a promise. This is a story about how chance becomes fate, and how one wrong turn can lead you exactly where your heart was meant to go.
Love Stories Max. Welcome to my channel. Enjoy watching, friends.
The city where we found each other. I never thought a single walk could change the entire mood of a trip, let alone my life. But apparently, all it takes is one small European town with cobblestone streets, the scent of fresh pastries hanging in the air, and sunlight that sits low over terracotta rooftops. And one man who appears so suddenly it feels as if some benevolent travel gods sent him to me. It happened in Rothenburg, although, to be honest, I had no idea it was Rothenburg at the time. I had simply stepped off the bus to look around a bit, and instantly, almost magically, got lost. Every intersection looked like a postcard. Pastel houses, half-timbered walls, flower boxes overflowing with red and pink blooms. And absolutely no logic. I walked for so long that the sound of my steps on the gravel blended with the bubbling of tiny fountains, while my GPS spun around like a drunk carousel. I stood in the middle of a narrow street, holding the paper map I had bought in a souvenir shop, trying to understand why the map showed 10 towers when I could only see 3. And then I heard, "You definitely do not look like a local." I turned around. Standing behind me was a guy in a navy jacket, the hood pushed casually back, with hair that looked as if the wind had run its fingers through it, but in a way that actually suited him. He had a smile that was simple, warm, unforced. "Is it that obvious?" I sighed, folding the map completely wrong. "Well, holding the map upside down kind of gives it away." I looked down. Sure enough. No way to hide that. He laughed, warmly, gently, as if laughing with me, not at me. "Where are you trying to go?" "To the main square. But I am not even sure I want to anymore. I have been wandering for 40 minutes and I think I am starting to accept my fate as a resident of this alley." "Then let me take you there. I am Daniel." "Bridget." We shook hands like we were meeting at a conference, not as two strangers lost in a maze of medieval streets. At first, he simply showed me the way. "There is a bakery right there. They make ridiculously good croissants. This little gallery belongs to a woman who paints cats dressed as medieval knights." But the deeper we walked into the town, the more I realized he was not just leading me to the square. He was guiding me through his world. The town felt like a worn-out book in his hands, every page smelling like starch and memories. At one tiny street, he stopped and said, "This is where I had my first kiss." I was 16, and I thought love meant forever. And how did that turn out? I raised my eyebrows a little. It turned out, forever meant 4 months. but the ice cream that day was amazing. We laughed so genuinely that I stopped paying attention to which direction we were going. He pointed out little courtyards, dusty windowsills decorated with old porcelain dolls, street artists painting quietly on their stools. I felt myself relaxing, as if I were not traveling alone, but with someone I had known for ages. "Do you like traveling alone?" he asked as we walked under another arched passage. "Yes, and no. It is freedom. But sometimes you want someone to laugh with you at the silly things you notice. For example, like that pigeon over there turning its head a full 180 degrees to stare directly at us." "Exactly." I burst into laughter. We reached the square not in the promised 10 minutes, but after more than 3 hours. But I did not regret a second. The square was huge, with an old town hall clock that ticked quietly. A man on an accordion played something soft, almost French. People sat on the steps, sipping coffee, sharing cookies. "Well," Daniel said, "here we are." And just then something inside me wilted a little. Like when a movie ends and you are not ready to leave its world. "Are you leaving already?" I asked, quieter than I intended. He looked at me as if weighing something for 2 seconds. "Only if you do not want me to keep being your life tour guide a little longer." "How long is a little longer?" "Well, at least until sunset." I did not expect that sentence to warm me from the inside. But it did. We bought small local pastries, cinnamon schnecken. He insisted they were the best in Europe. I did not argue, mostly because I was too focused on pretending I was not enjoying being near him as much as I actually was. We sat on stone steps, eating pastries and telling each other completely ridiculous stories. I told him how I lost a shoe on a carousel in Rome. He told me how he accidentally kissed his third cousin because he had no idea she was his third cousin. The story was so chaotic I laughed until tears filled my eyes. And when the sun started to go down, the sky turned thick pink, like peach glaze. The town lit up with soft golden light, the kind that always looks too perfect to be real in commercials. "It is beautiful here," I said quietly. "It is, but for some reason today it feels even more beautiful," he said, not taking his eyes off me. I felt something tighten and bloom inside my chest at the same time. And when a couple holding hands walked past us, he gave me the same simple smile he had when we first met. "Bridget," he said my name gently, almost tasting it. "I am glad you got lost earlier." "So am I," I replied. And it was the truth. For a moment, I thought I could hear my own heartbeat. And when he gently touched my hand, barely, as if afraid to scare the moment away, I already knew I would never forget this day. The sun slipped behind the horizon. The town darkened. Warm lanterns flickered on one by one. And we sat quietly, but the silence was not awkward. It felt like our acquaintance had already become something else. Something entirely different. Something that begins in the smallest details. In a crooked map. In a random glance. In laughter about a pigeon with a strange neck. And lasts longer than a single day. After that evening, we did not part right away. I do not know which one of us hesitated more, but neither of us stood up quickly enough for it to be called coincidence. The town was already glowing under the lanterns, the square had emptied, the accordion player was gone, and somewhere far down an alley tourists were laughing. The air had grown cooler, yet somehow I did not feel like wrapping myself in my scarf. Daniel stood up first. "Would you like to see one more place?" he asked, his voice sounding like an invitation into something slightly secret. "To be honest, I do not want this day to end." He smiled as if I had just said something incredibly right. We walked down a narrow passage where the lanterns cast warm pools of light, warmer than in any other town I had been to. Some windows were open, letting out the smells of dinner, roasted potatoes, herbs, something savory and rich. I saw silhouettes of people inside, someone setting a table, someone watering a potted plant on the windowsill. It all felt so homelike, as if we were walking not among strangers but among people who had known us forever. "It is easy to fall in love with this town," I said. "And sometimes, with a person," he replied quietly. I did not respond out loud, but something inside me clicked. Like a small button turning on soft light. He led me to a low stone wall overlooking the town. The rooftops stretched in uneven steps. Smoke rose from a few chimneys, and in the distance I could hear the same town hall clock. Daniel sat beside me on the cold stone bench. "I come here a lot when I want to." He paused. "Breathe?" I offered. "Yes, breathe, and remind myself that time is not something you only chase. It is something you actually live." It was quiet, so quiet I could hear the rustle of his jacket whenever he shifted. A dog barked somewhere below. The wind tugged gently at my hair. I sensed him looking at me. "Are you cold?" he asked. "No, not at all." "Good. May I ask you something, a bit personal?" I nodded. "Are you happy?" It caught me off guard. Not shallow, not cliché. Just direct. "I think, today, yes. Very." He did not look away. Neither did I. There was a moment, a soft, tight moment, where everything inside me felt too full, like my feelings were trying to push through my rib cage to be noticed. "And you?" I asked. "Right now?" His smile grew slowly, almost uncertainly. "Probably the happiest I have been in a long time." Something in the way he said it made the air feel heavier, warmer. His hand brushed against mine, barely, gently, as if testing whether I would disappear. I did not disappear. We stayed there so long that the stars began to gather between the shadows of the roofs. I never imagined it was possible to sit so comfortably and quietly beside someone so new. As if we had already learned how to share silence together. "Let me show you the town tomorrow from a different side," he said when we finally stood. "A different side?" I repeated. "Less touristy. More ours." That word, ours, struck something inside me deeper than any pretty line anyone had ever told me. "I will come," I said. "I will know you will," he answered softly. And for the first time all day, I saw something vulnerable flash in his eyes. As if he was risking more than he intended to show. We parted only when the town hall clock struck 10. And as I walked to my hotel, I felt as if the entire town knew, tomorrow, something would begin. Something I had never dared to dream about. I woke up earlier than planned. Though honestly, I doubt it was the alarm. It felt more like anticipation. A soft kind of excitement that lifts you from the inside instead of pushing. I lay there for a few minutes, staring at the light coming through the white curtains in my hotel room, thinking about one thing only: whether yesterday had actually happened. Whether someone I had known for mere hours could have stepped into my heart so easily. When I stepped outside, the town smelled like fresh morning bread. Bakeries were opening, someone dragged chairs onto terraces, someone swept the steps. Everything looked like a scene from a movie shot specifically to tell love stories. He led me down a path I would never have discovered alone, between two rows of houses whose walls almost touched. Laundry hung overhead, swaying in the morning breeze. Shirts, tablecloths, soft cotton towels. Bougainvillea spilled from balconies, and somewhere below, water splashed from a garden hose. "This is the part of town tourists usually miss," he said. "But it is the truest part. This is where the whole town actually lives." On one bench sat an elderly woman with a massive, fluffy gray cat. The cat looked at us like we were unwelcome guests. The woman, on the contrary, smiled as if she had known us for years. "You seem to know everyone here," I said. "It is easy to know everyone. Buy a croissant twice and you instantly become the guy from the bakery." We walked farther and the scenery shifted. The narrow streets opened onto a large old bridge over a river. The water was clear and fast, giving off a sharp coolness. The early sun had just begun to catch on the surface, scattering tiny golden sparks. I leaned on the railing. He stood beside me. "Yesterday you said you sometimes wish someone laughed with you at the small things," he reminded me quietly. "Well, today I am ready." "Ready for what?" I tried not to smile, but failed. "For everything funny. And everything not funny, too." My heart skipped. Or no, not skipped. It shoved something inside me, firmly and unmistakably. We continued to a local market. Not the pretty tourist one. The real one. They sold pears that smelled like sunlight and cheese that smelled so loudly it was practically begging to be bought. An elderly man in a red sweater insisted we try his honey. Daniel took a tiny spoon and held it out to me. I hesitated for a moment, then took it with my lips, tasting the warm sweetness. And for some reason I felt embarrassed, as if it had been a kiss. "Sweet?" Daniel asked. "Very. Good." And his eyes, in that moment, were warmer than the sun above us. And then it happened. Not a kiss, but something so close to one that I felt it in every cell. We stepped into a small courtyard where a huge grapevine wrapped itself around a beam stretched between buildings. Light filtered through the leaves in soft specks. The stone beneath our feet was old and mossy. And the silence, it was the kind of silence that wraps around you like a blanket. I stopped to photograph the light. He stopped beside me. And when I lowered my phone, We were suddenly very close. Absurdly close. Close in a way people do not usually leave to coincidence. His gaze lingered on me. Mine on him. Then came that moment, the micro moment, when he leaned in just a fraction. Not enough to assume, but enough to understand. He was asking without words. May I? I leaned in a bit too. Barely. If someone had breathed too loudly, our lips would have met. And then, from a balcony above, someone accidentally dropped a small plastic toy. It fell right between us with a dull thump. We both flinched. He laughed first, rubbing the bridge of his nose. "That is probably a sign," he said. "A bad one?" I picked up the toy. It was a pink dinosaur. More like the universe saying, "Wait a little longer." And how long is a little? He looked at me carefully. Ridiculously carefully. Until there are no accidental dinosaurs falling between us. And that line. It was so gentle, so honestly funny, that something bloomed inside me. We walked on, closer than before. Our hands did not touch, but they were no longer far apart. And the entire morning grew into something bigger than a walk. Into something that definitely did not feel like coincidence anymore. They say real love stories don't begin with fireworks. They bloom quietly, somewhere between small coincidences. That's exactly how it happened to us. A few weeks after the day I got lost and stumbled straight into Daniel's life, we were sitting on the same square where he'd first shown me what evening looked like in his city. By then, the city no longer smelled like coffee or orange zest, it smelled like him. His laughter, his steady steps beside me. His soft glances that, accidentally, found mine. Though we both knew there was nothing accidental about them anymore. I still remember the way he adjusted my scarf. Slightly unsure. Slightly too gentle for someone who was supposedly just guiding a tourist. The way his hand brushed mine, feather light, as if asking, "May I?" And the way I answered, without words, "Yes." The city started recognizing us as a couple long before we admitted it ourselves. The barista already asked, "Your usual? 2 smalls, 1 with cinnamon?" The bench on the hill above the river became part of our unspoken daily route. Even the clock on the town hall seemed to slow down when we walked by, just to gift us a few extra seconds. One evening, when the air felt clear as thin glass, he told me quietly, "You know, I still thank that intersection where you got lost." I laughed, hiding my warm cheeks in my scarf. "And I thank that pastry shop, where everything was so sweet I just had to complain to someone." He took my hand, gently, but with that new certainty that said he wasn't asking anymore, he was choosing. And in that moment, I realized, my accidental detour, my wrong turn, wasn't a mistake at all. It was a path to him. We were born in different countries, raised in different worlds. Yet one day our steps intersected in a small European town we'd both never forget again. And even though our tomorrow had only just begun, I already knew this would be the kind of story you want to tell for years, just to feel it all over again.